Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America Trading. Thank you for joining us for our most recent episode of our podcast, The Secret War on Cash, where we discuss changing or developing things in our financial system, our financial markets, our economy. And I have with me today a guest from prior, Mike Weiner. Mike, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Enjoy it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How are things with you?
I'm doing fine. Just watching the world get more and more messed up every day.
Well, as much as I'd like to say that sounds like a negative thing, it's actually a real thing. It seems like we're watching a ball of yarn unravel right before our eyes. And
absolutely.
Mike, we've been hearing about price increases and inflation a lot over the last several months. I think what might be confusing to some of us is that as we listen to people discuss inflation, there is a wide range of opinions as to what it is, how much there is, or even if there's inflation at all. Now, there are different ways that price inflation is measured. So to be fair, you would kind of have to factor the different aspects of that into this discussion. But at the root of it, I think unless you're trying to talk people out of inflation or you're a politician, most everyone would agree that inflation is here. To me, I define inflation as like food, gas, or whatever other junk that it is that we may need to buy or consume. If it costs more today than it did yesterday, then the answer to that is that, yes, it does. And we absolutely, yes, have inflation. To me, that's cut and dry. Now, let's talk about something a little different. Stagflation. They say stagflation is, and I quote, the combination of economic stagnation and high inflation characterized by soaring consumer prices as well as high unemployment. To me, that sounds like a horrible economic nightmare. Mike, is this where we are or where we're heading in your opinion? Is stagflation, is this our current reality?
Absolutely. Right now, it's really very timely we're talking today. This morning earlier, Jamie Dimon and one of the other banking executives came out and stated that we're heading towards stagflation. We actually have been in inflation initially with the situation with Mr. Biden. Inflation went up 9% with him, approximately initially, which was a gain that we hadn't seen since the 70s. What's really interesting is the fact that people think, well, wait a minute, it's gone up 9%, but they just told us inflation's holding steady 2 months ago. Well, what happened to the 9%? Number one, we still haven't gone down. So that inflation's there. Additionally, the first 2 or 3 years of Biden's administration, we had a growth in the economy. We don't have the growth anymore. We're heading down. So now that's stagflation. When you have inflation and an economy that's shrinking and unemployment that's increasing, you head towards stagflation. But there's another thing that I look at, and that's something called, I've developed it, it's called shrinkflation. That's where we go out right now to dinner, our plates have less food on it, we're paying more money for it. When we go shopping at the store, the packages have less things in it, we're paying more money for it. So I call it shrinkflation, because not only are we paying more, but we have legitimately less that we're getting for it. What the problem is for people to understand is when we went through this type of phenomenon under Obama from 2009 all the way almost to his end of a term, we had a sluggish, terrible economy. It didn't move that much, but we actually had people running it who, in my opinion, were more American. We have Janet Yellen now. When they give her smelling salts every morning and wake her up, she can figure out what to do. Larry Summers was very sharp. The problem is that if you look at what protected people during those Obama years was gold. Gold almost doubled in value under Obama, and we're heading, that's why people right now, including JP Morgan, who do not normally like gold, are looking at huge value gains in the precious metals market because of stagflation that we're heading into. And Jamie Dimon put the rubber stamp today on stagflation this morning. So we're right on top of it at this broadcast right now.
Yeah, I like your term shrinkflation. And I laugh, but it really isn't funny. I mean, I do remember it even goes back years ago, but like you'd open up that bag of potato chips and you look in there, you're like, somebody ate half my bag of potato chips and I just opened this thing fresh. And you're right. I mean, you go to a restaurant, you get less food, you buy something out of the grocery store. There's lesser quantity in there in terms of, if it's bread, maybe number of slices, or like I just mentioned, chips less. Shrinkflation is definitely here, and stagflation, unfortunately, I think you're right. It's here as well, and I don't think that's going away anytime soon. And then related to this, Mike, we've been hearing quite a bit recently about insider billionaire stockholders selling off a ton of their stock. And as we've discussed this before, this is typically looked at as a sign that the insiders, who we would expect have a better feel for the direction of things or where they're heading, they're of the belief that the market is about to make a move, and likely a major move to the downside. I mean, as you can see in the article on the screen, we're talking several insiders from several different companies to the tune of billions of dollars. Do you think this is why they're doing it? Like they anticipate something going down? Or I guess more importantly, do you think they're right?
I think they're absolutely doing it because of that. And I think they're looking at something else too. Not only the beginning of stagflation literally puts us in a position of a weak dollar. But on top of the fact that the Chinese government is planning on attacking the US dollar and becoming the world reserve currency, and this administration is doing absolutely nothing about it, China as a nation, what are they doing and what's the rest of the world doing? They're going to gold. They're going to gold because they don't trust the US dollar. They're going to gold because they don't trust the US economy. They know in the stock market, the people buying stock right now, and when I started off as a stockbroker, we used to have in the stock market open outcry. Anybody who's watched the movie Trading Places, seen all the craziness on the trading floor. We don't have that anymore because it's not open outcry. It's all done on computer. So these big guys like Jamie Dimon and Mark and all the other people out there know that the game's afoot. There's computer trading. They know that the dollar is weak. They're waiting for also another huge trapping point, and that's $8 trillion of debt that we're going to have to refinance, not at a AAA rating, but at a AA rating, which will play into an inflationary, stagflationary economy that we are going to take a huge hit on in the months ahead. And they're just getting out of the way. They're moving their money.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at it, it's a just in the headline of this article alone, it's a diverse group of individuals. Jeff Bezos, Leon Black, Jamie Dimon, the Walton family, and just this month, $11 billion of that insider stock being sold. And it's not like these are the only ones. I mean, these are just kind of the name brand ones that we're looking at, and it definitely. As the old saying goes, it's the handwriting on the wall that when you start seeing people like this making these kind of moves, it is not a positive sign that the market is going to be heading up into a positive direction. It's actually somewhat of a fortuitous sign that we likely are going to, at the beginning stage of where we're going to be seeing seeing a marketplace, have a shift or a change or that pullback that's been discussed so much. So Mike, thank you so much for sharing this. And look, these are like a lot of the things we've been discussing. These are not one and done type topics, meaning like this is not something that it probably will be a different headline, next week or whatever. These type of headlines are things that have become more commonplace. And to that point, I look forward to having you on here again, at some point here in the near future where we can discuss this and some of the other things that have been developing or changing. And for those of you tuning in, we say this at every podcast, but I'd like to encourage you as well. If you have not contacted us to receive our report, The Secret War on Cash, please do so. You can do it by calling us at our toll-free number, 1-800-289-2646, or visit us online if you haven't already at SwissAmerica.com. That's www.SWISSAmerica.com. We'd love to speak to you. If you'd have some questions about the metals market, or if you'd just like to get a copy of this free report, we'd love to get that out to you. So again, thank you, Mike. For those of you tuning in, thanks for doing so. And we look forward to next time when we can talk about this as well as some other related topics. Have a great rest of your day. And Mike, we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.